Hello there and welcome back for another scrapbookpal.com video. This is Cassie. I'm going to be making an Easter card for you today using the new Avery Elle Hoppy Easter stamp set along with the matching dies that you can buy separately for this set. And I love how this set has all those cute little images in there, like the little triangle and the circle, so you could decorate that egg however you wanted. I have a couple pieces of cardstock. This first one is a little bit bigger than the second one. And I'm going to grab out the little bunny and Easter egg, and I'm going to stick that down onto my cardstock. This is some Copic friendly cardstock, and I have put everything into my MISTI. I'm going to ink this up with some Memento Tuxedo black ink, and then I'm going to stamp that down a couple times to make sure that I have a good crisp, clean image. And I love Memento because Memento Tuxedo black because you don't really have to worry about the ink drying. No matter how many times you stamp it down, it's a fast drying ink and it works so wonderfully for Copic markers. So I've stamped out my bunny twice because I plan to make a card and a little tag. And then this next panel that I'm putting in there is a little bit smaller than an A2 size card. And I don't want to clean off my stamp, so I'm just using the packaging to place down my bunny. So we'll use that, close the door of the MISTI, put away my stamp packaging, and ink up my bunny one more time. So this panel is cut down to 4 inches by 5 1/4, and this will be the front panel of my card. I'm going to take the little grass stamp that comes in this kit, or in this stamp, and stamp that out a few times, and then we're going to go ahead and color our grass using the colors that I showed you. So that first one is Acid Green YG07, and what I'm doing is just putting down a nice base. I don't want to go all the way to the edge. I just want to have a nice little base, and then I'm going to come in with my darker color, which is the G07 or the Nile green, and then I'll put down a little bit of shadowing and shading there, and then I'll come back in with that YG07 and blend that out just a little bit more. Now we're going to move on to some sky. So here are our colors. Our first one is BG000 or Pale Aqua, and as you can tell, I am clearly coloring over that bunny, not caring, because I only stamped the bunny as a guide. And so I'm coming in next with the B00, which is the Frost Blue. And then I'll blend that out a little more with the BG000. And then I'm going to come in with some BG01, which is the Aqua Blue. And I end up realizing that I'm going to need to make that border a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker, because when I die cut the bunny out of my other piece, it's going to have a little bit of a white border. And so I need to account for that. So now I'm coming in with my BG000, and then I'm going to blend out some more with that B00. And then when we're happy with how that's turned out, we're going to come in and bring in our colorless blender just to kind of soften those edges a little bit more, and then we're going to let that dry. Now we'll move on to coloring our other two bunnies. So we have kind of a yellowish color for our bunnies, but this Y21, which is called Buttercup Yellow, while it is yellow, it still has a little bit more of an earthy tone to it. And so I thought that would be a nice base for our little bunny. And then I'm going to come in with some E31, which is the Brick Beige. And then I'm just putting in a little bit of shadowing and shading where I think it looks nice. I really have no rhyme or reason as to where exactly I'm putting it. I'm just putting it down where I think it would look good. So I think this little bunny is probably taking a nap on that egg, and he is doing a little sunbathing in the process. So I'll come back in with the Y21 and I will blend that out just a little bit more. Then for our pinks, we're using R20 and R22. So that R20 is called Blush, and we're going to put that down for our bigger part of our egg. This is a really cool part of the egg because you could absolutely like paper piece this egg if you wanted to, or you could stamp the little elements that are in the stamp set, like the little circle or the little triangle. You could decorate this just about however you wanted. I decided to keep it this solid color because I wanted this to not be a real busy card. And so here I am coming in with that R22, which is the light prawn color. Again, just putting my shadowing and shading where I think it might look nice. And then I'll come back in with the R20 to blend that out just a little bit. And we're going to come in next with some yellows. So we've got Y00 and YR30. And actually those colors, while they were swatched out, looked like they were a little different enough. When I start using them on the paper, they really aren't that different. So you can't really tell where my darker shade is. I'll just put a little bit in his ears, not going all the way to the edge, and his nose. And then for some violet colors, I've got V01 and V05. That V01 is called Heath. And then we're just going to come in with that V05, which is Azalea, and bring in a little bit darker. Like I said, I didn't want this to be a real busy card. My card is going to have a lot of white space around it. And I colored two of those bunnies exact same because, like I said, I want to make a tag as well. I want to show you that with your dies, just being a little bit creative, you can have your own tags. I decided to stamp out 3 of the little flowers, and then I'm going to color those with the pinks, which would be the R20 and the R22. So I'll just put down a wash of that R20 and then put basically a dot in the center of the R22, and then I don't even blend that out. And now I'll bring in my matching dies. So we'll tack that down with a little bit of washi tape, and then we're going to run that through our die cutting machine along with the little flower that comes in the kit. And it takes a second to kind of realize how you need to position your flower, so I had to turn it a couple times just to make sure that I had it done correctly. And then again, tacking that down with my washi tape. So I've cut out the 2 bunnies, and then I also cut out another one just out of that white cardstock, and I cut out 2 of the hearts that I didn't stamp, and I'm going to use that as the little top for my tag. So that's how this is going to look once I put that bunny on top. But we're going to piece together those 2 hearts. I just decided I wanted this to, so I'm using some liquid glue. I wanted that to be the little portion where my tag is going to connect. And so I'll glue those 2 hearts together and set those off to the side to dry. And then we'll work on stamping our sentiment onto our card panel, which is going to say Hoppy Easter. So I'll put the Easter in first, close the door of the MISTI, ink that up with that Memento Tuxedo black ink. And I'll stamp it a couple times just because I want to make sure it's good and crisp and nice and dark. And then I'll clean that off and I'll bring in Hoppy. And I like how Hoppy and Easter are both using a different font. Just adds this element of interest there. And I do decide to stamp out the heart, and I'll color that with those same R's. So we've got R20 and R22 for that little heart, and then I'll take the matching die with it and I'll run it through my die cutting machine as well. And then to tack everything down, I'm going to use my Crafty foam tape, and this is by Scrapbook Adhesives. You can get this at the store at scrapbookpal.com, and this stuff is great. The backing paper comes off, or the release paper comes off really nicely, and this stuff cuts beautifully too. So I've got my little bunny popped up, and then I'm going to use some liquid glue to put down the heart along with the 3 little flowers. So I'll use my Nuvo Deluxe glue just to tack all those down. And I'm just really enjoying how this looks. The white space just really adds to the softness. So it kind of gives you this feel of a little napping bunny in the spring, and I just love that. So now we're going to start attaching the pieces for our tag. I'm turning the heart upside down, and then I'm going to attach that basically to the back of the bunny. So it'll look like this little tiny little triangle sticking out. And then I'll use the liquid glue to adhere that piece to the white die cut of the bunny that I had cut out. So this way you can write on the back of it, and it also makes a little bit sturdier tag. And then once that's dry, I'm going to use a hole punch to punch a hole. This is an 1/8 inch hole punch. A 16th inch would have probably worked just as fine too. And I'm going to use some Lawn Fawn natural twine, and I'll run that through the back of the bunny, and then I will loop it through that hole. And this is how we're going to get our twine on there. And then for the top part, I'll just loop that and tie a little knot on the top, trim off all of the excess twine, and we have this cute little tag that matches our card. I haven't attached my card panel to my card base yet, and this is just some light gray cardstock that I have in my kit. It's a little bit warmer of a gray. I thought that would match our little bunny a little bit. Add to that warmth and still make him pop, and we'll adhere that down using some of that same Nuvo Deluxe liquid glue. At this point, I decide I want to bring in a little bit of sparkle, so I'm going to grab my Nuvo Glitter Gloss Aqua Shimmer pen. I'm going to put that on the heart, and then I'm going to put that all over the eggs. And it's really subtle. I think that's part of the reason why I like it. It's not so in your face, but as you turn the card and turn the tag, you'll be able to tell that there's some shimmer. I grab my Sakura Jelly Roll pen and I color those dots just to make sure that they weren't colored completely purple. And then I also put 3 little dots on each of his little cheeks, just for extra interest. And then there he is. I'm going to turn him a little bit so you can kind of see the shimmer of the egg. It's very subtle, but it's there. And it's the same thing with our card. So there you have it, both a card and a tag using the new Hoppy Easter Stamp and Die from Avery Elle, and you can get that over at scrapbookpal.com. So if you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by.